And we're recording. Hi, darlings. I am absolutely, as always, so delighted at the women that I get to share with you all. And today I'm talking to the divine Kat Ellis. Did I pronounce that correctly, Kat?
Yeah, that's right.
Kat is a dear sister that we actually haven't met in person, but we feel such deep love for each other. And I feel that's because we're both on this path of celebrating and supporting the sisterhood. And Kat is a sound and light activation worker. She uses these modalities in like healing, and we'll talk a little later. We'll loop in around the workshop that you're offering this weekend. She has a background in astrology and she's a brilliant channeler. So I feel we may not know exactly what's going to come up today, and I'm going to celebrate that. I think that is like super exciting. So welcome, Kat. Thank you so much for joining us on Sacred Conversations. It's such a pleasure to have you. Where are you right now in the world?
Thanks, Beck. It's such an honour to be here. I'm in about half an hour out of Byron Bay in the hills in Upper Maynarm. Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful space in nature too. It is up there.
So, it's gorgeous. It's very feminine land out here. It's pretty special. On the property particularly that we're on, it's very special.
Beautiful. I would love to ask you more about that. Without skipping ahead though, there's a few questions I'd love you to share your answers with. So the first thing I generally ask is, can you remember your first bleed when you were a young girl and you realised that you were menstruating?
It's really beautiful being asked this question. I actually don't remember a whole lot about my first period. I do remember I more remember the feeling of feeling very confused and feeling like I didn't know a lot about it, and that I remember it feeling like a shock to the system. And I remember going home to mum and telling her about it and kind of, finding out more info. But I guess in terms of like feeling that people understood me in it, like even friends around me, because from memory, mine came quite early. I feel like it was about 10 or 11. But I just remember kind of, more the feeling, feeling like I really spoke to mum about it and like, kind of got a lot of clarity, but just feeling this real sense of like, like it wasn't a heaviness. It was more a confusion just around like, what does this mean? Like, what's happening to my body? And that's kind of what I remember.
That's super interesting for me, Kat. I'm wondering, when you spoke to your mum about this, had she, I mean, you're quite young if you're 10 as well, and my question is had she mentioned to you to expect this, or had there been an open conversation between your mum and yourself around this happening?
To be honest, I can't remember. And I know it's like, I actually, I can't really remember. Maybe not, because if there wasn't really much knowledge around it, possibly not.
Yeah.
But I mean, because, I'm skipping forward, but like, I just feel in terms of like practices and things like that, it's so important to, like have ritual around these kind of really important times of life. And I guess I feel like being in the school system and all of that kind of stuff, it wasn't really like an honoured rite of passage.
Yeah.
That's how I remember. I mean, I didn't really think of that at the time, but that's reflecting back on it. That's kind of what comes up now.
It's so beautiful that you've looped in the rites of passage piece, and I feel like, you know, it is such an important time, and not just the menarche. It's like when we're from each phase of our cycles as women, to have a rite of passage, to have a moment to honor ourselves in a, whether it be in a, you know, ceremony or in any particular way. And I'm wondering, you know, if there's anything that you do now that you feel is honoring your cycle and your moon time.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, it's become like because obviously, as you know, like I work a lot with astrology as well. So I work with the moon and I work with my own cycle a lot. So it's become such a huge part of my life. And I must say, in terms of like, I've always been very blessed with having a very on time cycle. It's always, I've never really had any big problems with my period or anything like that. But to honor it now, yeah, I just each week, like I really listen. So mine's kind of moving towards the full moon at the moment. It was at new moon for quite a few years, but it's actually just starting to shift again. It's done this before. So I kind of really go with that, like also wherever the moon and knowing what sign it's moving into, just really listening to my body. Like in the week of getting it, I do take a lot of rest, a lot of time in nature, a lot of time on my own and write. And I actually find it's also my most creative time usually, for new ideas to kind of come through, and yeah, projects I'm working on and music stuff. And so I usually really try to, especially the first 3 days, just really take that time for myself. And, you know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of women say this, but in the lead up, like the week before, sometimes I'm like, I forget that I'm due for my period. And I'm just like, yeah, you know, it's just that whole kind of tension energy that's so intense. I always find that week the most challenging.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, the week of, it's such a gift. And yeah, I mean, if I can, I try and, yeah, I give it back to the earth as well. Like I give my blood back to the earth. But yeah, just really taking a lot of quiet time for myself.
Thank you, Kat. You're really like you're super in tune with be your background in astrology as well, with the moon, and I love that you are checking in with yourself each week. That's super beautiful and a fantastic practice, and something that I feel like we can all do more of. I'm wondering what's coming to mind is if you were, when you started to bleed, you were quite young and you didn't really know what was going on, and there was a little element of confusion, and then to get to where you are now that's so in tune, was there a piece that kind of bridged that for you? Was there, I know that you've done lots of training with you know, the wise women retreats and anything like that, all of these things like this, was there anything that really dropped it in for you, the importance of the sacredness of this time?
Yeah, beautiful question. And I mean, to be honest, I never used to really do a lot to honor my period and honor my cycles. And I feel like I'm feeling like I'm 35 now. I feel like it probably actually has increased in the last only really 2 to 3 years. I mean, I was still doing like stuff to honor it before, but it's really the last 2 or 3 years I've really gotten very deeply in tune with it. And I feel a few things. Yeah, it's definitely since doing work, a lot of like earth connection work, like with shamanic work, like that's kind of supported me, I guess, to deepen, yeah, very deep into the land and into the roots and into Mother Earth. And yeah, just deepening my connection with the earth, I feel. And also living out in, like I lived in the city for a very long time in Sydney, for about 10 years, and I've lived up this way now for about 4 years. Actually, it's probably since I've been up this way that it's deepened more, because there was definitely, like, living in a city, it can, well, for me, it created a sense of detachment, I feel, probably, even though I was doing a lot of deep work down there, but just from, it's kind of just creates this busy fight flight mode a lot. And I feel living on land up in the hills and kind of like, just out in a quieter area, it's just supported me to slow down a lot more. So definitely all the studies, that's been number one. But also I actually feel just really slowing down in my being has supported, and living in a quiet environment is what allows that to happen.
Beautiful. Thank you. You mentioned at the beginning of the conversation where you're living, and I wanted to circle back to it. So you've really opened that up. Thank you. The earth connection and the shamanic work that you're speaking about. Is there anything that, if anyone's feeling that they'd like to connect in a shamanic way to the earth and may not necessarily know where to start, I mean, what would you suggest that maybe practices that you've tuned into that have been, really pivotal pieces in your connection with the land?
Yeah, beautiful, Beck. I would say, I mean, a couple of like just simple things is kind of each morning just going out and saying a simple prayer and blessing to the land, and kind of like connecting. I mean, as I said, I'm very grateful where I am in particular, because I live in surrounded by so many beautiful trees and beautiful veggie garden. It's just, it's very divine land here. So I go out every morning and connect with the trees and kind of meditate with them and say a prayer, and like really feel my energy giving back to the land and connecting with the land very deeply. But also in terms of a specific shamanic practice, I would say setting up a simple medicine wheel. So basically in a medicine wheel, there's 4 directions: the east, north, west and south. Now the lineage that I'm trained in is with a very beautiful woman just outside of Sydney, Vicky Dean, who is Australian-based shamanism, like works with the Australian landscape. So the 4 directions in that way for me are the east is the eagle, the north is the kangaroo, the west is the snake, and the south is the whale. So, and then in the center is the tree. And so I kind of will envision, like I'll stand out on the land, and you can actually set it up as a medicine wheel or even just envision it in your own mind, but just calling in the directions, the 4 directions, the east, the north, the west and the south, and then meeting at the meeting point in the middle of the tree or alwanya, to anchor in the frequencies of whatever you're wanting to call in for the day, but that really be earthed, and that's what I find allows, this is going off a little bit, but to anchor in, like to call in lighter frequencies or downloads or other energies that want to come through. It's actually really having the roots and the connection to the land. So the medicine wheel would really help for people just starting out, for sure.
Love that. Thank you. I love that. I think you're probably one of the first person I know that I've had a conversation with that's been able to explain the medicine wheel with the Australian connection. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, cool. It feels important for me because like, I mean, there's so many, as I say, other medicine wheels to work, and they're all amazing, but living in Australia, I just feel it really important to work with the energies here. So
thank you, love. You mentioned tuning into the frequencies of what it is that you want to call in for the day, and when you're working with your medicine wheel in the morning. So I'm imagining that, we could go out into our it could be a backyard in suburbia, wherever we've got some nature, If we're in an apartment, perhaps we could have a pot plant, or like a Zen garden. Do we do those these days? I don't know. I think they're really kind of quirky. But something that we can connect with another living being, perhaps our crystals. And we can set it up and we can feel into the directions and send out a prayer and an intention to what we're calling in for the day. And then the frequencies. Could you speak a little to that? And it might, I'm feeling like if you could speak to that, it might circle into your sound and light activation work that you do as well.
Oh, beautiful. So you mean when I said the frequencies, like of what you want to call in through the medicine wheel?
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess there's a few things on that. So to me, it's about intention. So things that you're wanting to manifest, like how you're wanting to feel for the day, but also, a frequency, I suppose, like how you want to feel energetically in your body, like what you're really wanting to deeply tap into, what you're wanting to, because frequencies and light and sound kind of all link in together. And it's like, if that, coming back to the base and the earth and the soul, the earth chakra that's kind of connected into the earth, if that's activated through the medicine wheel, then basically it can allow the energies and the frequencies to move up through the body to activate each different chakra to raise up to the soul star chakra, which is just above the head. And this is what allows like a lot more light to come in. So it's really getting in touch with, when I say the word frequency, I suppose the way your being resonates internally with the external world, and kind of marrying up and matching both worlds so that you can create the frequency that you want to send out for your day, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. Thank you. It does. It makes sense, and it's so. The thing for it's like when you feel it, it's simple, right? It's so simple because we actually all have a knowing of this. We all have this coding, these capabilities, these rememberings of how to live in this, I say, right relationship with the earth. So thank you. I really appreciate you explaining it in that way. So you are working on some workshops at the moment, and congratulations, you really are doing some incredible work out there in the world, Kat. Like it's just a joy to see people light up and coming in, and you're working with another amazing sister of mine as well, Claire. What can people expect, like if they were going and wanting to work with you and learn about things like the medicine wheel? Is that something that you share in your workshops?
Yeah, absolutely. So so I mean, a few different things. So I do work a lot with the shamanic work, but then also the light and sound activation and the channeling work. So as an example, the one that I'm doing with Claire tomorrow, actually in Byron, is we're doing work around marrying up the timelines to deepen into deep soul union with self in order to attract that energy on the external and kind of manifest what we're wanting to call in. Wow. So we go into clearing the past love wound, kind of we'll be taking on, like Claire's going to be doing a lot of embodiment work with yoga and movement kind of practices, and I'll be doing a lot of stuff with sound and kind of light work to really shift and shed because really now is the time, like right now, to really clear out the old timelines, the old stories. And we've moved so far, like we're really at such a crucial, critical turning point for humanity right now. And there's just some little final threads. And so this workshop's kind of around that, like really clearing that out. So that's, I do a lot around that kind of stuff. And I guess activating the Kundalini energy in order to clear out all of the chakras to rise up to being able to activate the soul star chakra, which is above the head, so that like people can have clear vessels, clear physical vessels, in order to live their dreams and activate the light body to kind of live from that space.
Amazing. Beautiful.
I love it. I really love, yeah, like,
yeah.
Sorry, you go.
I know, since I can feel how much you love it, and I'm wondering if, do you offer this work online as well, or are you focusing on the interpersonal work?
Yeah, no, I absolutely do online as well. So I do, like I do one-on-one sessions. I do in-person workshops. I'm creating a course at the moment, actually, that's going to be an online course. It'll come out probably in the next few weeks. So yeah, but online and in person, both. I love both, and both work the same, because sometimes people ask with healing work and light work, like, does it work online? But it's absolutely the same, because it works with the frequencies and the energies, not the body as such.
Yeah, and it keeps coming back to this, the frequency of things, you know. And you're so right. We set these intentions, and our intentions are aligning up with particular frequencies, and if we can, you know, align our own energies up with that, we amplify, magnify, radiate, attract, and be able to manifest, you know, these best life evers. Yeah.
Totally.
I'd love, if you wouldn't mind, to, and you probably ask this all the time, but I feel like you are such an embodied and grounded person that has a great handle on the astrology and what's happening at the moment. And before we started recording, you said a little piece around the moon and the full moon in Leo and how we're all feeling around that. Would you mind to just like drop a little piece of your wisdom in around what's going on with the astrology at the moment?
Absolutely. Love to. So basically, we had the full moon about a week ago in Leo, and then we're coming up, so we're in between. So we've got the new moon in Aquarius next week. So we are in the age of Aquarius now, since the grand conjunction and everything happened at the end of last year, and we've gone through so much with all the Capricorn energy, destruction of the old, and kind of like breakdown of the old structures and the old systems. And I suppose if we would look at it in terms of masculine, feminine, the old masculine way that doesn't really serve anymore. But we are now really at this opportune time and of the 0 point. Well, and we've been in that probably for a few months. It's not the void, it's more the 0 point. And so it's really the still point before creation comes with it, where there's so much opportunity of what is kind of on the cusp of what's coming. And so basically there's a lot coming, but what we're moving into with all of this Aquarian energy and we're in Aquarius energy at the moment, is really the community weaving, the bringing humanity together to finding, and this is very much the Leo, what we've just kind of let go of, like finding our unique way we shine our light in the world from the 0 point of creation, from the still point, once again, from the rebirth, so that we can activate that into the collective tapestry and share that unique weaving with the communal thread. And so that's what we're at the moment, and what you and I were talking about at the beginning. There is kind of still a few of those layers of destruction, of releasing the old story and the old timeline, and as you said, the shadow, because we are really paving this new way and this whole new 0 point and this whole new architecture within, so that we can really create with others and kind of build this whole new world together. So it's an exciting time astrologically. It's pretty it doesn't we don't enter many of these phases very often astrologically. So it's a big shift for humanity that's happening.
Oof, I just got a full, it is. the biggest shift. And I love that you said paving the way into this new world. And your Facebook group is called Birthing the New World.
That's right.
So we might put a link in the comments so that if anybody feels to, jump on and join that group. Kat, you share like some really great wisdom and regular updates. Like you're really good on the updates of, and just bringing in, like I was saying earlier, the embodied and the really grounded information that we really need to know, that makes a difference. So thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Beck.
Thank you. What a beautiful, beautiful chat. I feel like we've covered a lot. Like it's just hearing your offerings, the work that you're doing, and the workshops that you're putting out there. But for me, like the goal is like sharing the beautiful earth connection that you're having as a woman that's walking this path and using a medicine wheel. Wow. So thank you.
Thanks, Beck. It's such a blessing to be here with you and to share this with you, this space with you. And I just feel so honoured to be part of this.
Thank you, love. Let's stop the recording.